the game during a camping trip with 3 girls and 3 guys, me being one of the 3 girls. One of the guys who I had had some tension with all night was dead to lick an ice cube off of one of the girls' chests. He chose me. I wasn't about to take my top off, so I just pulled it down instead. He tugged on it to pull it further down, and then placed the ice cube at the top of my chest to let it run down. Once it was between my TA then he licked it off. Dude took his time too. Lem tell ya, I was tempted to do some shizzing after that. It was a sleepover with 2 boys and 3 girls at this girl's house. I was one of the lucky guys. We were playing truth or dare and our clothes were coming off piece by piece. I got dared to warily poured melon cups from the girl of the house's dresser, right as I put it on, and start dancing around like a silly idiot. Her mom walks in, and I get sent home. At a friend's house for a sleepover, when I was maybe or so. Just me, my brother, and the friend playing truth dare. Really just dare, because truth is lame AF. We were doing the typical shoot, making drinks out of condiments and other stuff to chug, putting household items in the freezer etc. when I was hit with a flipping dare bomb. Sneak into his sister's room, who was a few years younger than us, go to her personal bathroom, take a shoot, and leave it. Ninja shoot. I'm down. So I left a monster log in her toilet and sneakily waddled back out to the main bathroom to wipe. Can't have toilet paper obstructing the view of that beautiful brown python. The next morning, we woke up to screams. I got a very stern talking to, but I know both my friend's dad and my dad were laughing inside. Also, I was strictly forbidden from entering her room. Totally worth it. You win, dude. I'm freaking dying over here. I was sitting with my girlfriend next to me and received the dare smooch the person next to you. I made eye contact with her, smiled, and leaned in. As soon as I saw her close her eyes, I whipped around to my right, grabbed my friend's jaw, and smooched him square on the lips. Oh, she was mad, but oh, was it worth it? Did you say no homo though? This guy right here is the Chad. I just observed this, and it wasn't the kind of story you want. My space was a weird time for Yalfagers. Somehow, my friend met a girl on MySpace from a town 1 state over, and she invited him to a party at her house because her parents were gone. Q5 younger year-olds stuffing themselves into and sov, coordinating lies with parents, and driving across state lines in an attempt to get their friend laid. When we got there, we encountered a pretty typical teenage party, with Mike's Hard Lemonade, some half-full bottles of random alcohol stolen from various liquor cabinets around town, hi-fi music on a blown stereo, and eventually the all-encompassing game of truth or dare that everyone got involved in. There was one girl at the party who clearly had a crush on someone because she was the one who got us into the game, and she was also the one who kept telling people how she'd totally do any dare, how good she was at any dare, how she'd never turn one down, all of that. The game goes off as you would expect for a bit. Someone pulls their PP out, 2 folks go into a closet and make out, the works. I don't really remember the rules of truth or dare, but eventually it ends up with my friend asking this girl, truth or dare. My friend is the kind of guy who will absolutely hold his word, and he holds other people to their word too. He hates exaggerating and despises people who claim to be something, only for them not to be the thing. This situation was designed for him, and he dares the girl to drink a glass of piss. She definitely just wanted to make out with the guy she sat next to, so she started to protest. My buddy illogically concludes that if she was as cool as she claimed to be, she would drink the pee. She continued to protest, and at this point the party is starting to come to a crawl as she freaks out over the dare. Since we are all young, boundaries aren't respected, and instead of moving on with the freaking party we sit here and argue back and forth over whether she should drink pee or whose pee she should drink or if it's even a valid dare. She claimed some rule that the person who does the dare should also be willing to do the dare, and in teenage terms, this is apparently a valid way to call a rule. So he says, sure, give me a glass of piss and I'll drink it, but then you also have to drink the piss too. She says she'll only drink her own piss, so he says he'll drink his own piss, but she has to drink the piss. My buddy gets pissed at this point and says that they have to get on with it. 2 cups of pee are made. My buddy drinks his. The girl ends up crying and leaving the party. The party kind of dies down after the spectacle, and we decide it's probably time to leave. This is really a story about how a few friends played the best wingman of all time. Our buddy was nowhere to be found because he was playing doctor in a bedroom with my space girl. She never drank the piss, so this story is ultimately about how my friend ended up daring himself to drink his own pee and then drinking it, while our buddy lost his V card to an internet stranger in the other room. Someone dared a girl to kiss me, and instead of kissing me, she asked me to leave. Then I lost about 45 kilograms and bumped into her about 4 years later, and she asked me if we could go for a drink. Instead I asked her to leave. Thinking back, it was really cringe cause I doubt she remembered it at all. I was just being a petty idiot. Not me, but I was at the circle doing it. One of the really hot girls there was dared to, without her hands, take the Invisalign out of the guy's mouth sitting next to and have it in the entire night. Everyone went quiet and looked at her. Without hesitation grabs the guy and with her tongue takes it out of his mouth and into hers. She was supposed to keep it in the rest of the night, but it didn't fit her properly and she only had it for about 30 minutes. Most ballsy thing I've ever seen someone do. At a birthday sleepover, I was dared to kiss this girl and we both were like, I never back down from a dare. So we did a quick peck and were like, you will show in front of everyone. Later, when everyone else was asleep, we made out in a closet for a very long time. I learned I was a lesbian then. In a closet in more than one way. So many others talking about their crushes, and I'm over here thinking about the time a friend had to stand outside in his underwear, shake a soda, and spray it on himself yelling, "I'm a sticky boy." I had invited all of my coworkers over to my parents' house after work, including my crush. I was young at the time. The night was dying down, and I drunkenly told my friend I was crushing hard. He said, "I got you." It was me, him, his GF, and my crush, and he started daring all of us to do really sexually charged things. Get clothes off, moan etc. His GF then dared her to kiss me, which she did. He then dared her to have Shreks with me, which she did. This was all consensual BTW. The Shreksual energy had been building all night and this was just the natural progression. She did have a big bad aunt though, so bear with me here. I've wanted to tell this story for years. The truth or dare comes in at the end. But the context is what really makes the story in my mind. It was my 18th birthday. I was the baby of my class with a summer birthday, so my 18th was right in the midst of graduation party season. Everyone was excited about college and trying to soak up as much time as they could with friends before moving away that fall. I was also freshly out of a toxic long-term relationship that I had stayed in for most of high school. My ex-girlfriend was jealous and controlling, but she was my first girlfriend, and I had no context for what a healthy relationship was, so we didn't break up until shortly before I graduated. Over the past 2 years I had let her slowly pull me away from my friends. Eventually, I hardly spent any time with them outside of school. Not to mention I was a bit of a wallflower and definitely an introvert to begin with. I was known as a pretty chill guy and either liked or at least respected by multiple social groups at my school, but I had very few close friends. However, things began to look up. My mom worked front desk at a luxury waterfront hotel in town and set me up in the biggest suite in the whole damn place for the night. She and my dad cooked a bunch of food for the party, bought me an ice cream cake, told me not to drink alcohol or trash the place, and left for the rest of the night. One positive side effect of being a studious goody two shoes during high school is that your parents apparently trust you. But still, when I invited all my friends to my 18th, I expected to have fun and for there to be a decent turnout, but that it would ultimately be a modest and forgettable party for a modest and forgettable guy. Instead, absolutely everybody showed up. Not everyone could stay along, but everyone came by to celebrate. We hung out in the pool, chatted, and generally had a great time. My friends surprised me with a ton of gifts and a huge communal birthday card made from a poster paper folded in half with the theme of "Now that you're 18, you can enjoy." Taped to the center of the card was a Playboy centerfold with the word prom written under it. There was also a box of cigarettes, a cigar, a pack of condoms, a military application, a voting ballot, etc. I was almost crying by the time I finished going through it, because besides being hilarious, it was so thoughtful. It was so meaningful to me to realize that my friends cared so much, even after I felt I had neglected those friendships for so long. The party went on, and it was everything I could have wanted for my 18th. But of course, like any gathering of youngins in good spirits without parental supervision, we eventually got into playing truth or dare. Even without the aid of alcohol, the topics naturally all quickly devolved into something related to Shreks or clotheslessness now. I was a V card holder at this point, and my friends weren't the craziest bunch in school. So by Shrek shall I more mean leaning out of PG-13 amounts of suggestive. A girl got dared to give a beach to a hot dog, a guy got dared to strip and run outside to the outdoor pool and back, etc. The energy in the room had eventually gotten pretty naughty, but it was also getting late, and we had been truth or daring for a couple hours at this point. Some people had to leave for the night and we were down to a smaller group of about 10. Of these 10 were 3 girls, and all 3 were in my opinion among the top 5 most attractive girls in my graduating class. So one of my guy friends, who was the craziest of this non-crazy bunch, decides to cap off the game with one final dare. A dare to all 3 girls that would also serve as a final birthday present for me. Now, at this point, you probably have an idea about where this is going. That idea is probably wrong. This guy dares all 3 girls to finish the last remaining slice of ice cream cake by eating it off of my stomach without using their hands. The girls giggle and then agree. I take off my shirt and lie back on a huge ottoman. They gather over me, and maybe this is a wishful false memory, but I swear I remember them all saying happy birthday, macrophage_mage in unison with flirty voices before going at it. Over the next 5 minutes, my abs, which I thankfully had at that point in my life, thank you adolescent metabolism, experienced a symphony of icy, melty cold and warm wet tongues, courtesy of 3 of the hottest girls in my class, while also being watched by several of my guy friends. I got several compliments on my abs. To date, I don't think I've ever had a stranger erotic experience in my life. I don't know if I ever will, but it's certainly a fond, bizarre memory. Ate a stick of butter without puking in less than a minute. Nobody in the room thought I could do it. Made $40. That was some